has agreed to be our very first guest. Mike, you're very welcome to the studio. I've been trying to track you down and pin you down for a long time, but you're here, and it's great to have your company.
Thanks for having me, Nick. I guess I had to owe you something back after you helped me out during your break. I'm doing my break in Christmas. You did a sterling job with a article, so that's the least I could do.
You're too kind.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Obviously, many people, Luke, would know, obviously, Mike's name, for one, but perhaps not necessarily the character, so we're going to find out a bit more about him.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Mike, you're the man behind the scenes writing all of our articles here at the Singapore Turf Club. Just tell us about your time and how long you've been here, part of the club. I think you were saying before you've been here since 2007.
2006 to be exact, but 2007 was my first full season. Well, I was working unbeknownst to many people, I was actually working as a size. For those who are not familiar with the term size, it's the same as a strapper or groom at the stables. And I think someone took pity on me and said, come on, we got a job for you as a writer, that's your strongest suit. And are you willing to consider? I said, yeah, when can I start?
Is that always your passion though, writing?
Not really. I've always loved racing.
Yeah.
The writing part came a little bit by accident. There was an ad in, that's how I started off. Year 2000, there was an ad in the papers looking for a racing journalist at the newspaper. That was the only English newspaper that carried racing at the time, and still does. I believe now Straits Times does it as well. And I was already working then. I was in Singapore for about 2 years then. I thought, let's give it a try. I always liked racing, and the writing caper is new to me, and I thought, just send in my application for a laugh, and next thing I know, I got the job.
Is that what you came on this show for as well?
Pretty much.
And for those that don't know, obviously you're Mauritian, and you've been in Singapore that time. Champ de Mars is your home track there in Mauritius?
It is my home track. It's pretty much where I was born. My dad took me there when I was, I think, 4 or 5 years old. To be honest, I used to hate racing. In those days, my dad would just drive into the infield, and we would be just staying in the car, not having any clue what's going on. And then one day, my dad said, look, son, stop moaning about going home. He took the newspaper, showed me, this is called a race card. These horses are there for a reason, to find out who's the quickest. And your job is also, if you want to have a little bit of fun, can you guess who will be the winner? And suddenly it was like, wow, this is kind of cool. So I just picked a horse, and he ran nowhere. Marvelous, stone marvelous. And but I was hooked.
Yeah.
That was my moment of epiphany, and I've been going to the races since.
Talking about finding who's the fastest, Luke, in regards to horses, you and I have both ridden to some level. You're a lot lighter than me, so obviously you probably had a bit more of a career potentially as well going forward. Now, do we think Vlad Juric's got anything to worry about? Because this man sat in the middle has also thrown his leg over a few equines.
Well, have a look at this, folks, because Mike Lee, this is just outstanding. Look at the style.
How long ago was this, Mike?
That was 25 years ago.
Wow.
That was just before I came to Singapore, 2006. No, hang on, 1996, 97. And that was the horse I used to ride at my local pony club, and obviously I was sad to leave him and decided to have a few. Piaffe Prince.
Okay.
That's
X-race horse?
X-race horse, South African bred, as most of the horses back home. So yeah, when he retired, I took over him and basically just knew how to trot and canter.
Sure.
Nothing faster than that. But I looked pretty good there. The horse made me look good.
Give yourself a rap
very
too.
good. Exceptional there, Mike Lee. Well, look out for an M. Lee claiming 4 kilos sometime soon. Let's fast forward the clock a little bit to obviously now you are our in-house journalist. You write a lot of excellent stories, and we're not just saying that to put a smile on your face, which I know it will. Nick. But your job, your style. If you had to describe your style as a writer, what sort of style would you say you write in, perhaps?
Obviously, I used to read a lot of. When I studied in Australia for 4 years. I probably spent more time at the TAB than at the lecture theatres, to be honest.
I know how you feel.
Whereabouts were you?
It's not a bad thing.
I spent 3 years in Perth.
Okay.
And 1 year in Brisbane.
Sure.
In those days, back in the 90s, there was this racing magazine called The Winning Post. I believe it's now defunct. So I used to read it. It's a monthly, so I used to read it every month, and somehow I kind of liked the style there. And it was very Australian, like a lot of Australian slang and terminology, but somehow I loved it, and I kind of copied myself a little bit after that style. But over time, when you come to Singapore, you obviously can't have too much of an Australian style.
Sure.
I remember my first editor at the newspaper, his name is Mark, he's retired now, but he always told me, Mike, you got to tone it down. It's way too Aussie, and we got local readers here.
But
I've still
retain
retain a little bit of that Australian style. I've read a fair bit, and I try to, copy the style. But I developed my own style after a while.
And I think that's the case in anything, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
Any career you have, you find your own way, don't you, eventually? You find your own niche and how you want to do things, but you might take a little bit from someone else here and there.
Yeah. And being in Singapore, you have to adapt your style to the local context as well. Singapore is not Australia. It's just one place. You have 27 trainers. You have about 40-odd jockeys. It's almost like a family here.
Sure.
And you develop a certain relationship with them. And somehow the style is, you kind of like create a bond with them. And one of the things that I've always told myself, besides being newsworthy, like if you have a good horse, you got to write about a good horse, but you try to cover as many trainers, jockeys as possible. Give everybody a chance to get coverage, and especially the locals, they love it. And I'm always trying to give them a bit of a coverage, especially after, let's say, like Hakim won his first, I think his name is Ayman, but somehow his riding name is Hakim. He got his first winner the other day. I'm sure he was wrapped. He saw his face on the website, just like for all the others. But anyway, so my style is probably a little bit different from what you're used to back home. But I have to say, by and large, the people here have been great to me. Of course, you have the occasional trainer or jockey who is not willing to talk, but we have to understand this is part of the culture here. Sometimes they're a little bit reluctant to talk, but I understand that, but I try my best. Somehow I've been able, look at Mohammed Yusuf. He's notoriously the most fiercely private trainers here. But look, I managed to get
this morning,
at least 5 articles or 6 articles from him, and
well.
there were quotes there. So I pride myself for having been able to get him to talk. So
for sure, that leads me on nicely actually, Luke, because Mohammed Yusuf was a trainer of a certain horse called Smart Bet.
Yeah, well, look, Mike, I believe he was one of your favourite horses, and I think you pressed Nick pressed you a little bit.
He
for
pressed me.
Didn't he?
Look, there have been so many good horses over the years I've been here. I've been here since 2006. So 14 years I've seen the likes of Rocket Man, of course, Super Easy, Better Than Ever, and recently Debt Collector. They're all great horses. I've always loved horses with a turn of foot, those who sort of like drop back and bide their time at the back and then just finish on the outside and come swooping down.
Smart Bet? Let's have a look
Smart
at that. Smart Bet
was definitely one. Yeah.
This is his Gold Cup, so let's have a look at his Gold Cup. This is 2002.
I was there.
How much do you remember about this?
I do remember. I was not working because in 2002, actually, I was doing another stint. Not as a racing journalist, I was a news journalist, but I was still keeping an eye on what's happening at Kranji. And I remember that race quite vividly. It was just a ding-dong battle between the two. The horse on the outside, that's Thunder Away, a mare trained by Laurie Laxon, and Smart Bet is on the inside, ridden by Grant Cooksley. Oh, hang on, I think I got it wrong. Yeah, sorry, because they are the same colours. My bad. Grant Cooksley was on Smart Bet on the outside. But the talking point there is Smart Bet was giving away, I think, as much as 10 kilos to Thunder Away on the inside. And it was a bog track that day, and Smart Bet. That was in 2002, the Gold Cup. But what I really like about Smart Bet is, I think the thing why I've got a soft spot for him is probably because, like I said, there's been many quality gallopers over the years. I remember him
59 in that rate, or 60 or
59 or 60.
You just don't see it these days.
No, it's almost impossible.
I think it's there's not as big a spread with the class of horse now. So if you've got top weight in a Gold Cup, very hard to win, particularly a weight like 59, as you said, on a wet track too.
Yeah.
We're fast running out of time, regrettably. We'd love to have you on the show a lot longer. Luke and I have both given a few predictions for this year. What about for Mike Lee, 2020? Well, what would you like to see happen, or what would you be hoping that might happen, perhaps jockey, trainer, equine-wise, anything like that?
Well, I think we all know that our racing industry is at crossroads now. And I think the Turf Club is pulling out all stops to try and turn things around. They've got a great team that they've put together, and they're working real hard to change a lot of things. They've come up with some bold initiatives in terms of prize money, in terms of the quality of the horses. That I know a lot of people are saying the price of horses around the world are going up. It's very hard for owners to buy horses. But I think just the other day I was looking at the first trial today itself. I saw a lot of names I've never seen. I think it's still a sign that there's still a healthy population of horses. The turnover is there. There's new horses coming through. And I think we'll get through this. We all have to come together. And, you know, racing is a great game. It's my favorite sport. And if we all stick together, I'm sure it will come out of the doldrums, so to speak, that we are now. It's not all that bad. It's not all doom and gloom. I think there'll be brighter days ahead. Quality horses be on the way. We have plenty of quality. Look at Inferno. Look at horses like Phil Marshall. These horses are still maturing. It's scary to think what potential they still have that we haven't seen yet. It's untapped potential. So there's plenty of quality out there, not only the equine population. We have great new trainers coming through. It was so great to see Jason Ong riding the first, saddling the first winner as a trainer, and back to back. I think it's a sign of the times that the next generation is coming through, and the old guard is still there, sticking right out. So I think it all bodes well for our future.
Yeah, it's a good note, Luke, to finish on there. See, positivity is what we want, and that's exactly what we can look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure, Nick, and well said, Mike. Look, it was great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
We'll go tip a few losers now, if that's all right.
We will indeed. Michael, very many thanks for your company here on the show. Mike Lee, then our very first guest on Track Talk Under Lights.